Okay, there we go. And let me bring you up so I can see your beautiful face. There we go.
Oh, thank you.
Hello. Well, hi. Well, thanks for joining in. I'm just gonna, real quick, I'll introduce myself and obviously let the viewers know who I am, and then I'm excited to find out more about you. So thanks for chatting with me today.
Yeah.
So I'm Christina Sasha, Mrs. Colorado 2008. And I'm so excited. Emily asked me to chat with some of the ladies that are competing in the upcoming competition this July. So obviously, for those of you that are watching, Mrs. Colorado, Mrs. Wyoming, Miss Colorado for America, and Miss Wyoming for America will be held in July at the Ellie Calkins downtown. So we're so excited. And please introduce yourself and let us know a little bit about who you are.
Absolutely. Well, I'm thrilled to be interviewing with you. I have perused your profile on Instagram, so we'll connect at some point.
Perfect.
I am Juliet Ebdell, Miss North Metro. And so I represent as far east as Brighton and as far west as Lakewood, all of the Denver metro area.
Awesome, awesome. You got a big area. Well, welcome. And this is for the viewers who don't know, this is our second year for the Mrs. America program that is also, goes on to Mrs. World. They started a Miss division for unmarried women. So either divorced, unmarried, single, never been married, doesn't matter if you have kids. I think basically is that you just cannot be married. So we're so excited to have this program part of our organization. And like I said, this is our second year and our second year crowning the Colorado and Wyoming girls. So we're excited. So cool that you're going to be able to be part of, history. So very awesome. So I'll just dive right in. I'm sure Emily, I think she kind of shared with you that I was going to be throwing some questions at you, and she had some specifics she wanted me to ask you. So, because she knows that I can ramble and we'll be on here for an hour. So she made it real clear to make it, be a little specific here. So I'll just dive right in, and then just, feel free to, talk. And if you want to ask me any questions, feel free. But we're here to find out about you and find out more about you. So that's all.
Terrific.
So, so real quick, I know you just kind of told me your title and the area you're representing, but just give me a quick little overview about you. Tell me a little bit about who you are so the viewers.
Sure. Absolutely. So I am half Okie, half Yankee. So I was born in Manhattan, New York. I grew up there, and then I moved to Stillwater, America. So in Oklahoma, went through high school in Oklahoma State. And then about 3 years ago, I actually visited Aspen and fell in love with this place and just figured the rest of Colorado must be as gorgeous. So I decided to move my career and everything with me to Colorado. And while it's not Aspen where I live, I can still see the mountains and it's still just as gorgeous. But I'm a first generation American, half Turkish, half Egyptian, and the youngest of 6. So.
That is so cool. What a really interesting and cool heritage and background. That's so fun. Did you see I moved me? I don't know if I moved on your end too. I moved my little face over here because I was kind of blocking you. So I moved you. I wanted to see. So yeah, that's very cool. So how long have you been down here from Aspen?
Yeah, so I moved about 3 years and 3 months ago to be exact.
Oh, wow.
But it's been nice. Yeah, I do not regret it at all. It's a wonderful place to be. And, I feel more at home now because I think it's 70% of Coloradans, I think, are from outside of the state. So it's not as small of a percentage.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. For my national costume when I went to Mrs. America was the Maroon Bells from up in Aspen. It was a huge painting, tarp, carry, it's one of those things. So the bigger, the better. So.
Oh, I bet that was gorgeous.
Yeah, it's very, very fun. So let's see here. So first of all, this is always the exciting thing I love to hear. What motivated you to sign up for the pageant? What motivated you to do something like this?
Yeah, so it's been interesting. So I've been here for about 3 years. And as soon as I moved here, I connected with a good friend of mine through work, really. And so she was a Mrs. Wyoming title holder back in 2000. And then a year after, I was in another leadership program, and it was with a Mrs. Colorado title holder that I just kind of connected with. These are women that I just jive with, and they're terrific. And then last year, we were approached to sponsor, my organization was approached to sponsor the pageant. So I kind of was looking into it to see if we can make it work. And that's when I read about the newer division and how it was available for unattached, single, divorced, etc. And it was at that season in my life that it kind of just fit. And so I was like, well, I feel like, it's been consistent that I've had these reminders, and I'm a firm believer that God likes to plant things in your path so you pick up on it. And at that point I was like, well, I need to consider this further and kind of explore it.
Oh, so cool. Well, we're happy to have you, and I'm glad you jumped on board. Is this your first pageant?
It's not. So I've done a couple. I did one whenever I was in college, and then I had another one in high school. And when I was much younger, my mom took me around to several. And
That's so
so,
cool.
I don't remember hardly any of them. So this feels like it could be my first practically.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, that makes it even more exciting. It's almost better if you go in blind, I say,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
So, so what life lesson do you want others to learn from you?
Yeah, I think so. This was a great question. And there were several things that I kind of wanted to offshoot on. But like you, I have to write everything down or else I'm just going to go off on a tangent. So
Right.
I think the main thing that I wanted to get across in the life lesson is to give yourself permission to do what you want to do. And I think so. I have this amazing leadership coach. I've been going to him for the last year and a half, more professional side of things. But one of the things he's published in his books and in his speeches is, your reputation is none of your business. And it's an interesting concept because, a lot of times before we get involved in something or take on a new role or want to get active in something, we stop and we consider why we shouldn't. And why we shouldn't is often because of what everyone else is going to think. It's never because you really don't want to do it. And so really the life lesson would be to give yourself permission to do what you want to do, because regardless of whether or not you do something, people will formulate opinions and they will, come to whatever conclusions that they do. That's things beyond your control. But what you can control is your experience in life and how happy you are with that.
Oh, very cool. That's awesome. And great life lessons. And for me, I have kids. I have two teenagers, and especially one of them is a girl. I have a teenage daughter. So always great things to pass on. So I love it. I love it. Let's see here. She's got some great questions here. So I'm kind of just bouncing back and forth here. Oh, this is my favorite one. If you were crowned in July,
Mhm.
what would your reign look like? Your year as Miss Colorado for America.
So, and I'll answer this more with a lot of my key skills that I have. So I'm very committed, I'm a very loyal person and just really passionate. And I'm passionate in paving the way for this title. So this is the second year, and really the sky is the limit on what we can set, where we can set the bar at, and what impact we want to make across the state of Colorado, and impression we want to give on this system for others to see. So I think that's one thing is in working collectively with our director, with the system, and in spreading the message that we want to empower women to do what they want, to be their best version of themselves, and really to get out there and make a statement. So I know that's one of the things that, as a title holder, I would like to bring forward. I was also part of a sorority whenever I was in college, and I loved every minute of it. In fact, I'm founding right now our alumni chapter here in Colorado.
Oh, so
And
fun.
yeah, what I love most about it is that sisterhood is, wherever I can go, you always can find somebody who's shared a similar experience, who you can rely on, you can count on. And then it's, without really knowing each other, you just pick up the phone and really are there as a support block. And, being so new, I've been here for 3 years, but it's still, I've made relationships by getting involved in various programs. And I think that's one of the incredible benefit I can get from this is connecting with like-minded women that are movers and shakers that I can rely on past just my reign.
Yes. Oh, and you couldn't be more correct. I've been doing pageantry for way too long. I won't say how long. It'll give away my age. But, the Mrs. Colorado organization, just as an example, my first runner-up, which was in 2008, I ended up crowning her in 2009. But she was one of my best friends, which I met through the competition the year before. So when we were standing up there in the top two, it was just so cool because we were truly had become such good friends, such close, tight friends. And so it's so very cool to be able to crown her the next year. And to this day, 12 years later, she's still one of my very best friends. I just talked to her the other day. And so you're in the right place to meet new friends, and you will meet friends that will last a lifetime. So
I love that. Yeah, that's so touching. And it makes it all more memorable too, because in that moment, it's just you two, right?
Oh, it's so amazing. And it's just so cool. So we were standing there in the top two. And then when she was announced as first runner up, as soon as I won, I went backstage. I said, I'm coming back next year to crown you. You better be ready. So yeah, it worked out good. So who do you admire and why?
I would say, there are a lot of people that leave impressions and a lot of souls that touch me personally. My mom is my biggest person that I aspire really to be. She's very tenacious. She raised six kids. At the time, my dad had suffered from an accident, and so she was actually his caretaker all of for as long as I've been around. So not only did she have that dynamic, she also had us, and then this is not her home country as well. So she at the time, they've been here for maybe 20 years or so. So not to have a network, but to be able to raise children and to adapt and provide and do everything. I mean, she's a very tenacious and resilient person, and I just admire her for so much, for the faith that she's passed on in us, the skills that she's given us, and just so much.
That's so awesome. What does she think about you competing?
Oh, she's thrilled. She is. We were just talking this morning, and she's like, "So, how's the Miss for Colorado going? Are you prepping for it still?" And I was like, "Yes." So she sends me some emojis, little pizza and burger, and I said, "I'm not eating any of that stuff." She's like, "Oh, you'll have some afterward."
Oh, believe me, after Mrs. America, I had we went to the restaurant after, and I was like, "I'll have a burger, I'll have pizza, I'll have tacos," and everyone's looking at me. I'm like, "Don't you dare judge me."
Yeah. Everything.
There's plenty of time.
Everything that's on this menu.
Yeah, there's plenty of time for after that. Hey, well, that's one of the bonuses of all of this being postponed a couple of months. We have, got a little bit of time to eat what we want. But at the end of the day, I tell you, these women, that compete, they come in, all different sizes, walks of life, size 2, size 14. It doesn't matter. I mean, basically what pageantry in general, what we're always looking for is we want somebody who is comfortable in their own skin, and somebody who's healthy, and somebody that can share that same dynamic with other people in the public. So, but very cool, very cool. And so excited to meet Mom. She sounds very exciting. Let's see. Well, tell me what it's kind of a two-part question. Mm-hmm. First of all, how many years have you competed? I already know the answer, but it sounds like this is your first year. Tell me what you have learned about yourself so far in preparation for the upcoming pageant.
Yeah, so as you know, this is my first year. This is the second year for the system. So I was not part of it last year, but discovered it last year to start prepping and competing for it this year. And probably the one thing that I've learned is really my willpower that I have. And at my furthest that I push myself, I can always go one step more. And I do that, whenever I'm training. For example, I have this amazing trainer that's down in Centennial. And he, when I try and give up, he says, no. Say, how about a little bit less? And he says, no, this is not a negotiation. This is a dictatorship.
You're like, great. Well, I live in Centennial, so don't tell him where I live, because I don't need to do that.
I will save you that, right? But once I get done, it really is, you learn how much you can handle is so much more than what you thought. And I think just that continued growth and the mindset that you can keep going and you can push the envelope even further and further to get past where you are, because you can continue to change, and it's a great thing for you to do.
Oh, that's very true. That's all very true, and wonderful things to kind of learn about yourself along the way that you'll be able to take with you out, long beyond July for sure. So, let's see. I'm kind of picky and choosy which ones I like. Okay, besides the crown, we all know we're in it to win it, right? Besides winning the crown, what are you hoping to gain from participating in the pageant?
Yeah, so this really, I already know myself, but I haven't been able to necessarily communicate myself effectively, personally. I'm wonderful about, like, you give me a task, I'll go out there and I'll do it, I'll accomplish it. People will know about it, they'll take it, they'll implement it, and then it's like everywhere. That's how our organization has just been recognized. But to personally be able to effectively communicate who you are, I think, we are raised to not necessarily brag on ourselves. And if we do, it's kind of like you're selfish for doing that. Mm-hmm. And so I think over years, we learn to just mute who you are, and you don't necessarily express it to the fullest. And so I think that's definitely one thing that my goal has been, is to effectively be able to convey myself. And I've been working a lot more toward that, and identifying key things that I want to get across, and how I want to be seen, and what story I want people to know about me.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And again, I always say that, in the process of something like this, because it is a very vulnerable situation that women put themselves in. And I think that those are exactly the goals that I think we all strive for at the end of all this. So kudos to you.
Thank
And,
you.
I haven't competed in 12 years, but even looking back, it seems like a lifetime ago. But, I still to this day admire every woman that I meet that dives into this sport, because it's no easy task for sure.
Right.
So let's see here. Um, let's see. She's got a, you know what? And I always go off the cuff. She's probably gonna kill me for this, but I like kind of going off the cuff. She has. What was your favorite toy growing up? So I'm gonna probably add to that after you answer.
Okay. So this is. I would probably, I was a Barbie girl. I wanted all of my siblings. So we have 4 sisters and 1 boy in my family, and bless his heart for having to deal with all of us. I mean, he would never.
I would take 10 boys over that many girls. I have one of each.
Now you can sympathize with my mom even more.
Yes.
You're like, she really is an inspiration.
Yes. I can't wait to meet her for sure.
Yeah, he never even had a chance in the bathroom anytime. But I always wanted their toys, and their clothes and everything growing up. And they were all Barbie fans, so I wanted all of their Barbies, and then I wanted the my size Barbie. And not to say that I actually wasn't close to my brother. Him and I are the closest in age gap. So growing up, I played a lot of video games. I hung out with his friends all the time, probably too many times really to count. So it's been a balance of both, but I would say between Super Mario and everything that I used to play with him and between my Barbies, those were my 2.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, well, gosh knows. I think all pageant girls can claim that they were a Barbie girl at one point for sure. So, but I'm going to add to that. I always find it more interesting of, what is your most prized possession now at this point, right now, today? If you could take one thing and just run with it, what would it be?
My most prized possession. I keep a journal. I keep a journal that I log a lot of my thoughts in, a lot of gratitude that I express in there, and then a lot of passages that I have faith driven. And so I'd say probably that my journal would be what I would take with me most.
Awesome.
I'm not a very material person, and so it's I've learned to be very minimal, especially just moving around, and the more that you consolidate stuff. But you carry a lot of stuff with you that are more important in your heart, and it's not a matter of whether you or not you have it with you for you to really be feeling.
No, that's so true. And I ask that question often, when I've judged in pageants and things like that. And it's funny, it's rarely something materialistic that people the answer that people give is rarely something materialistic or an actual, something that's worth value, if you will, as far as money. So I love always hearing that answer, because it kind of tells you a little bit about somebody. So thanks for sharing. I knew I threw that on you. So
oh, good. Well, thank you.
Yeah, of course. So what's one last thing you'd like to share with us and the viewers? Obviously people are going to be chiming in. They're going to want to know about these girls that are competing in July. So if there was just one last thing you wanted to share with me and you want people that are watching to know about you, what would that be?
Yeah, so I would say that I'm a pretty strong and independent woman, or female, and female empowerment has been a huge theme in my life. And I think that anyone can be in the seat that I'm in today, sitting in front of you. And for anybody that's tuned in and has a negative idea about pageantry, then I invite you to chat with me on why I'm choosing to do this when I'm also in a role that's a pretty high level exec business position, and why I would consider doing something like this. And then for those of you that are on the fence, you can be here as well. Don't be on the fence. Give yourself permission to be doing what you want to do best. And that's really the message that I want to send. I hope people watch this and get a glimpse about me, and then come out in July so you can really see me all the way through and understand me further.
No, that's awesome. And you're so right, because pageantry for me is, I've been in the business, again, I very long time, let's just say, very, very long time. And over 40 years, let's just put it that way.
No way.
Since I was a little one.
Okay.
And, you know, for me, pageantry is, you know, it's about celebrating. It's about really getting out there and just, it's a celebration of who you are. And I just said it to the girl that I was speaking with before. It's such a cliche, but, you know, it's a celebration of who you are, everything you've overcome, and everything that you have become. So I think it's really awesome that I think you definitely have dived down the correct cave, if you will, to just dive in. I think you know, came down the right path. You seem like an extraordinary lady, so I'm very, very excited that I got
you. Thank you. And I hope to meet you in July. I think it'd be terrific.
I will be there. I will be there. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So can I ask you a question?
Oh, sure. Please.
Okay, great. So your Instagram says, they call me Mama Sasha.
Yes. Yes.
So what is,
I'm a pageant coach, and I have been on and off for about 20 years, but very consecutively for a good 12 years. And I work with girls of all ages, but before I worked with Mrs. Contestants, it's actually probably the smallest little pocket of my business. I worked with a lot of teen and Miss Contestants. And I even was a director and a producer for Miss Teen Colorado World at one point. They went on to Miss Teen World. And then I had International Junior Miss program. So obviously I worked with girls of all ages, and specifically younger girls under the age of 18 in the teen years, preteen years. And so with that, you know, I become, if you will, I'm their coach. You know, and I'm kind of guiding them through life and making sure that not only that they're ready physically, but they're ready mentally, and that they're in this for the right reasons. And I take my job very seriously, and I don't let my girls get away with much. If you work with me, you work hard. And but I always want to make sure you're in it for the right reasons. And it's funny enough that I kind of had this reputation, if you will, that I'm no BS. We'll just say BS. Am I allowed to say that on here? I'm no BS, but you know, always with a tender touch, tender heart. But the hairstylist, who's the official sponsor for Mrs. Colorado, DJ, I don't know if you've met him. He's with Timothy Salon. So he was my stylist, you know, back in 2007 and 8. And he's the one that kind of dubbed me. He was like, you're just everyone's mama. He's like, the girls come in here and they're so nervous that they get to go meet with mama. And he's just like, you're just Mama Sasha. And it stuck. And before I knew it, people were like writing me, and they would inquire about my business, and they wouldn't even call me by name. They would say, we would love to meet with Mama Sasha. And it just kind of stuck. And so it's been really, really cool. And even when I produced my program before, I was never called. It's so cool because I have like 22-year-old girls coming up and, Mama Sasha, how are you? And I'm like, is that supposed to make me feel old? Because it kind of does, but it's okay.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of my my proudest title that I have, for sure.
I love that. Yeah, that makes total sense. And I love DJ. Yeah, I could totally see him say that, for sure.
He's awesome. Oh yeah, he's dubbed me Mama Sasha. He gets full credit for that. And it's stuck, you know, like I said, for the past 12 years. And I'm actually more known in the industry as Mama Sasha than I am by my first name.
Oh, that's too funny. Well, there you go, setting yourself apart, for sure.
Yes, I love it. Well, thank you so much for asking. And so, but yeah, again, so glad I got to get to know you more, and very excited to meet you in person. And best of luck to you. And of course, if you ever have any questions, you can always reach out to myself or any of the former queens. And of course, Emily is extraordinary and always a wonderful help. So you've got lots of places to reach out if you ever have any questions. And we look forward to seeing you in July.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, and I hope you have a terrific weekend.
Thank you. Likewise. You too. You take care now.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.